Okay, good afternoon and welcome to another edition of Chris G Photography. I think when I did yesterday's video I said rendition. I guess it doesn't matter if it's edition or rendition. But anyway, I wanted to continue our discussion about if you are stuck in a rut, if you want to try to maybe even improve your photography, maybe you don't need new equipment. Maybe you just need to change your subject, change how you see things, not necessarily completely change how you do things, but at least take up new subject matter. And to discuss this further, I have actually come here today. The quaint little former mining town of Georgetown, Colorado. And the reason I came here is because this kind of emphasizes my point completely. I have been coming up here for about 30 years to one of my favorite places to take nature photographs, and that is Guanella Pass. And Georgetown is kind of the gateway to Guanella Pass. And Guanella Pass is basically right over here. You really can't see that much of it, but it's just a few miles that way. And for years, that was my destination. Guanella Pass was my destination. And I drove through this little town dozens and dozens of times. And matter of fact, I will go up to Guanella Pass again today. And what I'm looking for is I'm going to do some stream photography, some frozen water stuff if it's not too warm and there's not too much snow, but we will see. So we'll see what we can come up with. But the point is that I've literally driven through this little town dozens of times on my way to take pictures up in Guanella Pass, and literally passed up all of this. And not until last year, the summer of 2021, did I actually start stopping in Georgetown to take pictures. And I can now see what I missed for like 30 years. And I do regret that. And you might be saying, Chris, I am stuck in a rut. I am looking for new inspiration, and I'm thinking about getting a new camera or whatever. But maybe it's not that. Maybe it's not your camera gear. Maybe it's not you. Maybe it's the simple fact that you keep shooting the same subject over and over again instead of branching out and doing new things. And I know people are going to say, well, I don't know any other type of photography but photography X, whatever that photography is. This is the only thing I know how to do. And I'm like, I don't really buy that, because quite honestly, the cameras are the same, the lenses are the same, composition's the same. If you take photos outside, lighting is the same. So what is the difference? Maybe your passion is not this. Maybe, I'm just not passionate about this. Well, if you're stuck in a rut though, then try something new, try something different. And you're not going to know until you try it. And with digital photography now, it is so easy to experiment. Because like I said, if you don't like the photos, delete them. No big deal. And so, oh, it's a gorgeous day, gorgeous day. Spring's about 3 weeks away, so things are going to be changing around here. But Guanella Pass is such an awesome place. There's moose up there. There's two 14,000-foot peaks. Some of the best frozen stream photography I've ever done is in Guanella Pass. But you know something? This is equally as good. This little town is equally as good. There are subjects everywhere. No, they're not what I would consider my genre of nature photography. But guess what? It is still good photography no matter how you look at it. And not only that, something I've also learned is by expanding my genre, expanding what I take pictures of, it is making me a better nature photographer, because I am learning to see things differently. I have done a lot of on YouTube. I go to YouTube a lot, just like you do, and I've been studying a lot of different types of photography, including a lot of street photography, and I think it's really positively influencing my nature photography. And so for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop recording, and we're going to take this back up when I get to my home. We're going to look at some photos beginning at the beginning of my career when I was in my teens, all the way up to current time, and show you how my photography has changed. And that's what I would like to do with you, as kind of a way to motivate and inspire you to maybe do the same thing, to get out of your rut, do different things, shoot different subjects that you may not even be comfortable with or be aware of. So for now, my name is Chris. This is Chris G Photography. Do me a favor, like, view, and subscribe. Help me out and help me make this into a very wonderful little YouTube channel about photography. And if you're interested in my work, you can go to chrisgphotography.com, and just keep in mind that is Chris with a K, not a CH. So for now, I'm going to let you go. This is just the introduction, and we'll see you at home, where you won't see me, but you'll see some pictures. So we will see you a little later. Okay, everybody, as promised, I am back in my office to continue our discussion. And I'll be really honest with you. I've been really struggling on how to present this morning. I've actually re-recorded this a couple of different times. This is probably my fourth or fifth take. And the first take I did is I recorded something, and it was really profound, sounded very good. But unfortunately, I made an error and did not have the microphone on, so it was not recorded, and now I can't remember what that really profound thing was. And had to take a bit of a break to kind of really regroup and think about what I was trying to get across here. And it actually kind of brought up a memory. When I got back into photography after a very, very long layoff, I began to study a lot of YouTube videos. And really wasn't looking at any particular subject. I would look at YouTube videos on anything from, how digital photography works, post-processing, that sort of thing. And one day I ran into a video. I think it was one of the TEDx videos. Now, I'm not going to try to link it. I'm not going to try to give you all the details. I'm basically going to give you a summary of what I saw. Again, the photographer's name is Art Wolfe, and I have been looking at Art Wolfe's work for, probably, I'm going to say 30 years or so. Since I discovered him in my 20s, basically, and I'm almost 50 at this point. But Art Wolfe is really known for his wildlife photography, wildlands photography, and indigenous people photography. I mean, he has multiple, like dozens and dozens of books out there, and most of them are on those subjects: wildlife, wildlands, or indigenous peoples. In this particular video, he was talking about a project he was doing, and this video was actually recorded back in 2014, I believe, where he literally went out, got a bunch of volunteers, got them into his studio, put him on a canvas or on the floor or something like that, and literally they were naked, and he painted them, and then he photographed their naked painted bodies in his studio. And while watching this video, he said something that stuck with me that I found very profound. Because again, what kind of photography he was is wildlife, wildlands, or indigenous peoples. And what he said about why he took up this project is he said that I'm doing this to avoid the photographer's version of writer's block. So in other words, this man who had been photographing for years, probably longer than I've been alive, has probably a dozen, if not 2 dozen, if not 3 dozen books out, magazine articles, countless magazine articles, said that he was afraid of getting stuck in a rut, that he was afraid of doing the same thing over and over again. So he had to do something to break out of his norm. So what did he do? He started shooting naked people in his studio that he had painted up. Now, again, I'm not going to link the video. I don't remember the name of the project. I don't remember the name of the book that he put out. But those words, I want to avoid the photographer's version or the photography version of writer's block, really resonated with me. And I think that's really what I'm trying to get across, that if you, as a photographer or a painter or whatever,
are stuck in a rut, maybe you have to start looking at things differently. And I wish I remember the profound thing I said from take 1, and this is take 18 or something like that, because it really hammered that point home, but I don't remember what it is. So, but that is really the point, is finding new subjects, seeing the world differently to avoid yourself going into a rut and basically getting to a point where you feel stuck. You might be like, hey, should I get a new lens, change a format, change locations, whatever, when it may just simply be it's time to change how you view the world. It's time to change the subjects you photograph. Now I'm going to show you a few of my photographs, basically starting from my very earliest work. And the picture you're looking at is probably one of my very earliest photographs where it wasn't a snapshot. The tripod was set up, the composition was thought about. Now you're probably looking at this up here, I do have a version of this photo without this in it, but this is just the version I ran into first. This is not a digital photograph. This is taken on a Nikon F3 with a 28mm lens and Kodachrome 64. So for those of you who are old enough to remember that. But this is kind of what I consider my first vision, and what I really pursued for years is nature photography. Here's an elk I literally shot probably 10 or 15 years later than the first shot, just up the road, literally. And here's another shot that I took in Arches National Park, full moonrise. Just happened to be in the right place at the right time for this one. Now that I'm back into photography and I'm shooting exclusively digital now, my passion, my love is still nature photography. Here's a bull elk that I shot most recently. Actually, it was probably shot less than a mile from the first photo of the meadow you saw, literally just down the street, same place, Rocky Mountain National Park. But this is still my passion. This is what I love to do, and this is what I will always do. But now it is not the only thing I do. I've also allowed my studying of different genres of photographer change how I actually see nature photography. This is one of the last photos I took before we went into COVID lockdown. This is an elephant, seal, bull photographed on a beach in California. And literally what I wanted to do here was I wanted to show the water in motion coming over the elephant seal's back. I had envisioned this photo this way long before I took this photo. But if I would have been in this location, let's say 20 years ago, I would have been dead sharp. The water around the elephant bull would have been frozen. Everything tack sharp. But as I began to study photography, different types of photography, street photography, abstract photography, I started to imply those principles into my nature photography. But still, again, my first love is still nature photography. There's just something about the tack sharp landscape photo. This is a photo that it is February of 2020, or excuse me, it is March of 2022 right now. And I took this photo in February of 2022. So this photo is only about a month old. And again, but this is my passion. This is what I love, taking this type of photograph. But the truth of the matter is I'm not always in these situations. And I still want to take pictures no matter where I am. For example, my wife and I have another YouTube channel. It's called Going Places with K&J. Shameless plug there. But my wife and I are empty nesters, and we do travel quite a bit together. And quite honestly, we may not always be in a place that is conducive for nature photography. But just because I'm not in a setting for nature photography doesn't mean I don't want to take pictures. So I had to start thinking outside the box. And so one of the locations my wife and I find ourselves at quite frequently is Las Vegas. And this, this photo was taken. I literally had my X-T3 in my hand, probably just my 18 to 55 lens, and literally had it down on my side, walking through the casino area, literally firing off the button on the vertical grip, not even looking at the subject, not even looking what I was taking pictures at, and looking at them later. But this is actually 3 people. I know there's 2. There's one here, and I think this is a third person. And these people are actually playing roulette. I don't think I would have wanted to take the pictures of their faces here because, quite honestly, maybe they don't want to be seen playing roulette. But I literally am walking through the area firing off random shots. And if I just still had the mindset as I'm a nature photographer, I would be sitting in my hotel room right now fuming because I couldn't be out taking nature photos. But what did I do? I actually said, no, I've got to rethink how I do things. I've got to do things differently. And I'm going to photograph whatever I can wherever I'm at. And this just happens to be in a Las Vegas casino. And I'll be really honest with you guys. Allowing myself the creative freedom has really changed, and in my opinion, really improved my photography. I see the world differently now. I apply different concepts of different principles rather than everything's got to be on a tripod, everything's got to be shot a certain way with a cable release and all that other stuff. It is so almost freeing to be able to just allow yourself the creative freedom to go shoot where you're at and not be stuck in a certain type or genre of photography. It's so freeing to say I can actually take abstract photography or street photography and not just say, well, I'm just a nature photographer and that's it. This next photo, so what do you think this is? Take a guess. No idea? So this photo was just taken a couple of days ago, and I'm literally in my car in an automated car wash, and this is the water coming down over the windshield as the automatic car wash is working. So photos can happen everywhere. Good subjects can be found everywhere, not just in the mountains. That's another thing I've learned. Good subjects are everywhere. And I basically am getting to the point where I'm carrying a camera no matter where I am, even if it's the car wash. Now, I am not saying this is a good photo. Honestly, whether this is a good photo or not is up to you. Somebody once upon a time said that there are only two types of music, good and bad. And that is the same case with photography. If you like this photo, now I've told you how to do it, and you'll probably go out and try to emulate it. But you might hate it and say that is a waste of time, that is garbage. How you see this is totally up to you. I'm not going to tell you. In my opinion, it's a good photo. It's a creative photo. It's an interesting photo. It's a different photo. But if you don't like it, you don't like it. So a buddy of mine, I've known this young man since he was about 15 years old, and now he's in his early 30s. And then I quite honestly knew him when he thought he could play the drums, but really, really couldn't. And his band was performing at a very small bar. And again, I wanted to take photos. I wanted to be creative, even though I wasn't in my natural habitat of the mountains, taking animal pictures or whatever. So I experimented with the shutter speeds and eventually came up with this. Now, do I have some where the sticks are frozen? Yes, I do. But this one, with the sticks moving, but his face still relatively sharp, really kind of spoke to me. And this is the image that I really gravitated towards. Not what I normally shoot, but I still think this is a good image, and it's a very creative image, and it speaks to something. What it is, I don't know. Speaks to when I see this, I see a friend playing the drums that I was able to take, in my opinion, a pretty creative photo of. I have loved macro photography since I've started photography. I've always had a macro lens, and quite honestly, always will have a macro lens. But my macro experience up until recently has been mostly, quite honestly, flowers. And will still be flowers. But by thinking outside the box, by looking at the world differently, by allowing myself to see different things, I began to apply my macro photography in situations like this. This is literally an old painted rusty hinge on the doorframe of an old building in a little tiny town. And so this is again different, an image I do like. And quite honestly, in the past, if I would have driven through this town on the way to my destination, I would have never taken this photo. Now, the last photo I want to show you is one that is shocking to me because I was literally, to be rather honest with you, this photo was taken on my way to where this next photo was taken. So in other words, I wasn't going to a nature location. I was going to a location to where I could photograph small town America and the rust and decay that comes along with that. I was actually in a small town of Boise City, Oklahoma. Was in a very small motel. Literally, I was the only person there. And there was an abandoned gas station right next to the motel. And this is the image I came up with. Now, for whatever reason, I looked at this image and literally said, wow, I don't know why. This one really stuck out to me for, again, I don't know why. I was literally just walking around these abandoned buildings, taking snapshots, and I didn't really expect this. Now, I think I took another one. I think I downloaded or added the wrong photo to this, because I actually have one that's, I was using the red filter on my XE3 program, and the sky's a little bit darker. No clouds, a little bit of gobbledygook down here. But for some reason, this photo really spoke to me. And I think the lesson for me is by looking outside the box, by doing things differently than I have, I've changed myself, improved my own photography, but also I've opened up a whole new world for myself. I am not just stuck with taking animal and mountain pictures. I can take pictures of anything I want. And that is really my new perspective on life, is when I'm traveling and going places, whether it's with my wife or whether it's going to the mountains, I am going to stop and take pictures of whatever I see and whatever I want, because you never know what's going to pop up. You never know when that image of what you're not expecting to be good is good. Now, you may not think this image is good. Again, that's up to you. But this is an example of allowing yourself to get out of the rut, allowing yourself to see things differently, allowing yourself your creative freedom to literally flow out of you no matter where you are, and maybe get yourself out of that rut and maybe start seeing photography different. Do you remember when you started photography, no matter what kind of photographer you are, how excited you were and how fresh it was? I promise you, if you change your subject matter, I don't care what you take pictures of now and what you're going to start taking pictures of, your eyes will be opened up again. You're going to start seeing the world differently again. Not only through the eyes of a photographer, but the eyes of a photographer that you didn't know existed inside yourself. This is what allowing yourself to open yourself up to different types of photography and different creative expressionism will do to you. Because that's what it really has done for me. Because I watched a YouTube video that was recording in 2014 where one of my favorite photographers said, I'm doing this to prevent the photographer's version of writer's block. Open up your mind, open up your camera, open up your creativity to what is around you. And don't just get stuck taking this. That is the one thing I've learned. This is getting a little long, so I should probably wrap it up. Look, I really hope you got something out of this. I hope I just wasn't rambling on and babbling on, and quite honestly, I hope this recorded this time. So do me a favor, like, view, and subscribe to my channel. Help me make this channel into something special. I know there are a million YouTube channels out there about photography, but please help me make mine the 1 million and first. And also do me a favor, my website is finally up and running. It is Chris G Photography. Now, I have to be kind of cute when I say this, because remember, I am Chris G Photography, but Chris with a K, not a CH. So keep that in mind when going to my website. But thank you for watching this video. I hope you got something out of it, and hopefully I'll see you out there someday on the road. And until then, get your camera out and go take pictures you normally wouldn't.